What's up everybody, it's Max Digital here. In this video I'm going to compare the iPhone 6s with the iPhone 12 Pro Max. Let's get into it. So we have the very older iPhone 6s against the iPhone 12 Pro Max, the newer, more flagship, expensive phone. The 6s could be had used for under $100 easily, and the 12 Pro Max has that price of over $1,000. Another big difference between these devices is the 6s is a LTE only device, while the 12 Pro Max is a 5G phone, so you're going to get faster speeds on the 12 Pro Max. The iPhone 6s is also the smaller device with a height of 5.4 inches. The iPhone 12 Pro Max has a height of 6.33 inches. The 6s is also a very lightweight device, 5.04 ounces, compared to the 8 ounces on the 12 Pro Max, pretty much half a pound on that phone. So if you want a smaller phone, the 6s will suit you well compared to the humongous iPhone 12 Pro Max. For the build quality, the 6s has a glass front, aluminum back, aluminum frame. The 12 Pro Max, glass front, glass back, stainless steel frame. So when these phones first came out, they are both considered premium build quality, but obviously the iPhone 12 Pro Max has that stainless steel frame, which is more premium than the aluminum frame on the 6s. But if you hold these phones, they still feel pretty premium in general, although you got to give it to the 12 Pro Max. Another big difference between these devices is that the older 6s does not have any type of dust and water resistance, while the 12 Pro Max has IP68 dust and water resistance. You can dunk it and submerge it in water 6 meters for 30 minutes. For the display and screen, the older 6s has the smaller 4.7 inch display. The 12 Pro Max has a humongous 6.7 inch display. The 6s has a lot of bezel. It has 65% screen to body ratio, while the 12 Pro has really good screen real estate at 87% screen to body ratio. The 6s has an IPS LCD display, while the 12 Pro Max has that updated super nice Super Retina OLED display. For the resolution, the 6s has 750 by 1334 pixels, and the 12 Pro Max has 1284 by 2778 pixels. You break it down to PPI, you got 326 PPI on the 6s, 458 PPI on the 12 Pro Max. So obviously you get a super bright, super nice, crisper screen on the 12 Pro Max. For the software, both of these obviously run iOS. The 6s, when it was released in 2015, released with iOS 9, and it still supports the newest iOS version of 14. While the 12 Pro Max was released with iOS 14 and currently supports the newest 14.4 update as of today. The 6s looks like it's not going to get any more updates beyond iOS 14, but it did go and get 5 of the updates since it was released, which is very good, and expect the iPhone 12 Pro Max to get another 5 years. So theoretically iOS 19 right around there. The 6s has the Apple A9 chip, which is 5 generations behind the Apple A14 Bionic chip on the Apple 12 Pro Max. Obviously, the 6s is going to be slower. It's not going to compete with the 12 Pro Max. That one's has a best-in-class chip. It's going to handle every app thrown at it. The 6s will have lots of stuttering depending on the apps and will be kind of slow, but for day-to-day tasks, very simple apps and tasks, it'll do just fine. Internal storage varies greatly. The older 6s came in at starting at 16 gigs and then moved up to 32 gigs as a base storage, while the 12 Pro Max started off at 128 gigs. So obviously you get a lot more built-in storage on the 12 Pro Max right off the bat. None of these have external micro SD card slots, so there's no expandable storage obviously. For the RAM, you get 2 gigs of RAM on the older 6s. You get 6 gigs of RAM on the 12 Pro Max. Makes a huge difference. You're not going to have that performance. You're going to see a lot of apps crash probably on the 6s. If they're more complicated, you have a lot of apps. There's going to be no problem with the 12 Pro Max handling tons of apps in the background. For the camera system, the 6S has a single 12 megapixel shooter on the back while the 12 Pro Max has a triple shooter, 12 megapixel main, 12 megapixel telephoto, 12 megapixel ultra wide. You can shoot up to 4K actually on both of these devices, so that's kind of surprising. The 6S actually holds up with the 4K quality, but obviously if you really like video and pictures, the 12 Pro Max will crush the 6S in quality. But it's not to say that the 6S, by today's standards, it's not really a good camera or video taking device. But if you compare it to the competition on some Androids, it's actually pretty good. For the selfie camera, the 6S has a 5 megapixel shooter, the 12 Pro Max 12 megapixels. You have 720p on the 6S, 4K video on the 12 Pro Max, so big difference in selfie video quality. A bonus for the 6S that it has a headphone jack while the 12 Pro Max does not, so you can still hook up your headphones, your mic, and your aux cord to your car for music on the 6S. Bluetooth 4.2 on the 6S, Bluetooth 5.0 on the 12 Pro Max. Very different versions of Bluetooth, but they should still be able to connect to all of your wearables. It'll connect to your AirPods, your smartwatch, your Apple Watch, your smart bands, and stuff like that. But obviously the stronger Bluetooth will be on the 12 Pro Max. Both phones support NFC, but that's usually reserved for payment systems. Both phones still have the same Lightning port connector for charging. For unlocking the device, the 6S has the front-mounted fingerprint sensor, while the 12 Pro has a more advanced, newer Face ID. Very different, but both are very reliable to open up your device. The fingerprint on the front of the 6S enables the phone to have lots of bezel, so that's what makes the 12 Pro Max have lots of screen real estate as well, is because there is no home button. For the battery, it's a very different situation. The iPhone 6S has a terrible small battery at 1,715 milliamps, which is super tiny compared to the 3,687 milliamp battery on the iPhone 12 Pro Max. The Max could definitely get a whole day's worth of battery, while the 6S will not make it, or it won't even come close. There's no fast charging on the 6S whatsoever, while the 12 Pro Max has fast charging at 20 watts, so you could charge it up to 50% in 30 minutes, and it has also Qi magnetic charging with MagSafe. So these phones are separated by 5-6 years in between them. The 6S is actually not, if you compare it to a lot of cheaper Androids, it actually fares pretty well. For example, it still has 4K video on the back camera, same thing as the iPhone 12 Pro Max. It has a headphone jack, that's a little advantage right there. But other than that, it has an old school look. Battery's not as good. It has a lot of bezel. And it's not gonna get any more iOS updates, but it only has 2 gigs of RAM. So those are the big differences right there. The 12 Pro Max is gonna have everything best in class for Apple, the camera system, the charging, and the price as well. You could get 12 iPhone 6Ss for the price of one iPhone 12 Pro Max. But honestly, I wouldn't get the 6S unless you wanted it as a storage device or just like a spare emergency camera or something like that. Thanks for watching, guys. That's been my comparison of the iPhone 6S with the iPhone 12 Pro Max. Take it easy. Peace.